A good sci-fi action story for me needs two key things. One is an interesting monster that is stronger than the main cast. It needs to be powerful, cunning, and scary. Think of monsters like the Xenomorph and Predator, or the Thing. And secondly, you need a fun group of characters to follow. They need to be reliable and capable of fighting back against the monster, and be fun to watch, like the soldiers from Predator and the scientists from the Thing. In today's video, I will be talking about a new sci-fi manga that meets both of these requirements. The Pool by Gamon Sakurai is a fascinating new action sci-fi manga that has impressed me with its first 10 chapters. This author is mainly known for Arjun Demi-Human, which is a very good sci-fi action manga that I highly recommend you go read. It has one of my favourite antagonists of all time. Now, if you don't want spoilers, I suggest you click off now and go read this manga. In this video, I will be talking about the story, mainly the first chapter and some other parts of the story. Then I will be talking about the monsters of the story, and I will finish off by talking about the art. If you don't mind spoilers or have already read this story, then please enjoy the video. 20 years ago, a stable wormhole appeared above Earth's orbit. We see two men running down a hall, and one man asks if he saw it, and he responds that he did. One of the men begins climbing some stairs, but turns around. The other man has been grabbed by some strange-looking arms from the darkness. The claws dig into the man's neck. The other man reaches out, telling him to grab his hand. The man wasn't strong enough to hold him, and he gets pulled away down the hall. "I'm sorry," the man says as he looks up the stairs. He climbs up a ladder, and through a small opening, he can see something flying outside. He lights a flare. He asks that whoever is in that ship saves them as he holds the flare outside. He hears a noise and looks down the ladder. We then see the title page of The Pool, introducing us to all the characters, and I don't think Gamon Sakurai gets enough credit for his character design. The detail on the clothing and the various physiques and faces are so well done and make each character distinct and recognizable. Finally got ourselves a break. Got any plans once we get back to HQ? A man asks. "Why the hell do you want to know?" Another member of the ship responds. "How stupid," a rugged man adds to their conversation. They continue arguing as we get a better look inside the ship, and we see four individuals dressed in military attire. We see the final member reading before something catches their eye. She looks out the window. "Was something shining out there?" the woman asks. The blonde man says he can't see. Another person asks what they saw. She doesn't know. She then asks the cockpit if they can see anything on their monitors. They can't. She asks if there's any facilities to their 9 o'clock. According to the maps, there was a small mining spot that was abandoned a year ago. She wants to confirm with HQ if there's any active personnel out there, but they can't due to an electromagnetic anomaly. The others tell her it was probably just a reflection from something, and that if it was an SOS, they would still be able to see the smoke. She has 30 seconds to make up her mind. They can drop them off nearby, but then the ship has to head back due to low fuel, so if they die out there, it's on them. "What do you think?" she asks the other members. We learn the members' names. Rip says that they just finished their work and are low on ammo, so it's too much of a risk. Bite says it's 50 kilometers back to HQ and he doesn't want to go. Ty says, "Wherever fate leads us," with a wild expression. "Did you just say that for real?" Bite asks, and Rip notices the wild look in his eye. "So what do we do, Chief?" Being the chief, she gets the last say. She says she would rather not take any risks. The members sigh in relief and are happy to head back, but then she tells them to prepare for drop-off. We then cut to the man from earlier being grabbed by another man. He asks what he did, and he explains that he noticed the ship from the camera feed and used the flare hoping they would notice them. The other man calls him an idiot and asks if he wants all of this to go to waste. We see the soldiers drop down and pull out their rifles. They each clear the direction they're looking, and the chief sees something in front of her. It's an alien. The chief watches it and it takes off away from them. She says clear. The ship wishes them the best of luck before leaving. Rip yells for the chief before pointing at the ship. "See that? That's our break going off into the horizon." She tells them to move out and they begin moving towards the mine. They arrive and it looks abandoned. "See, ain't nobody there," Rip says. A geyser then goes off behind them and they think that's what the chief saw outside her window. They inspect the door and would be able to unlock it with their IDs if it was operational, but Bite says it will take him 5 minutes to open. The chief then says that it is operational. The door opens automatically, surprising the group. A voice starts speaking to them. The chief asks if they sent the SOS. The voice asks who they are. "I am Oishi Yugi, captain of the Department of Security's Sierra team. We're here to help you." They enter inside and Tai keeps staring at the forest. He says that they are being watched. Bite tells him to get a move on and Rip says the door won't close if he keeps standing there. The group enter and they see a large dark tunnel in front of them. "Hey," someone calls out to the group. It's the men from earlier. They tell them to get in here quick. The chief goes to ask a question before getting shushed. "It'll notice you," the man says, and the group walks inside. And further down the tunnel, we see what the man was talking about. It's eating the man from earlier. That concludes the first chapter, and I loved it all, from the premise, the character designs and interactions, plus I was invested in finding out what the monster is and what the men were doing in the abandoned mine. Now, in the next two parts, I will be talking about the aliens and the art, so if you don't want any more spoilers, click off now, but if you don't mind or have already read it, then let's continue. I love the aliens in this. The first time we see one is when the group decides to travel further into the tunnel, as there is a vehicle they can use to drive back to HQ on the other side of the mine. They decide to take their chances with the monster. The security team was skeptical if there even was a monster to begin with. Anyway, after a bit of walking, they come across a limestone cave. One of the men notice something and begin to panic, screaming loudly. They notice the body of the man who was taken earlier. The man sprints down the cave and the chief quickly chases after him. The man runs into a rock and stops. The chief asks if he's okay. He turns around saying it's a nosebleed. We can see that he didn't run into a rock. "Get down please," the chief asks quietly. We see the alien for the first time as it breaks away from its imitation. It has long arms and an odd overall shape. It hunches down and looks like it's going to attack the man. The chief yells at him to get down. The alien easily kills the man. The chief shouts at her team to exterminate it. They fire at the alien as it darts around the cave, ultimately killing it. This alien by itself is dangerous, but like the xenomorphs from Alien, they are at their most fearsome when in large groups, and this is exactly what our protagonists have to deal with for the remainder of the story. The aliens have many different abilities that I will now go through. Firstly, they are at their strongest in groups, being fast and can easily overwhelm people with numbers. They have a similar mouth to a xenomorph, with the second mouth that extends outwards. They have incredible hearing, allowing them to pinpoint prey and separated aliens even if they are underground. This is done by some kind of sensory organ above their heads. The aliens, when not in the mine, can move freely and their speed is terrifying. The soldiers can't even keep their eyes on it, they're that fast. Their long arms allow them to traverse the forest extremely well, swinging from tree to tree, easily outpacing a car. These aliens are terrifying and I enjoyed every moment they were on the page, and they pose a great threat to the cast that kept me invested. The art in this series is so good, from the character design to the fight scenes. It's extremely consistent throughout. I really like the facial expressions, whether it's the captain trying to figure out what's chasing them, or Ty after he successfully kills an alien. He has that wild look in his eye. There are so many scenes with great facial expressions. The fight scenes are amazing, as I expected, because Arjun had incredible fight scenes as well. One of my favourites from the series would have to be when Ty fights an alien one-on-one with an axe and shield. He has to delay it long enough for them to get the door open. They face off and both let out a scream. The alien charges Ty and he pulls out the shield and axe. He blocks the attack and strikes the alien. He takes damage but ultimately overpowers and kills the alien. That's when he says, "You're not scary at all," with that crazy look in his eye. There are so many badass scenes like this, but I won't spoil them. This is definitely a series you should read, especially if you like action, as this has more than enough action scenes to go around. The Pool is a manga that I think any sci-fi or action lover should read, as it's really enjoyable from the very start. Gamon Sakurai is producing another great manga, and I think it deserves more attention than what it's getting. I hope in this video I've convinced some of you to try this manga. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!